Hello there. My name's Lisa Hanigan. I'm glad you're joining me today. I'm just going to do a really nice class for hips and hamstrings and quads, just hip openers. Um, should be a very grounding class. You'll need a blanket and 2 blocks if you have them. And a strap would work, or if you have one of those big rubber bands, that would work too. So, or even a regular belt works. So let's get started just by coming to a seated position. And for seated, I want you to be comfortable. So if you're not comfortable sitting cross-legged, there's several ways to do it. You can sit. I like to sit on a blanket and get my hips a little higher because then I can keep my back straight. You can either stretch your legs out long because we're going to sit for a while, or several of my students that have tight hips like to sit on a couple blocks. So you just stack your blocks and then send your feet straight back and sit on the blocks. You can either do 1 or 2 if that's more comfortable for you. I'm going to start seated on my blanket. So just find a comfortable position. Preferably your knees will be a little bit lower than your pelvis. So that's why the blanket or the blocks are nice. And then as you settle in, just close your eyes and really focus in on your breath. When you do this, a lot of times your body will just take a cue from your breath to relax a bit, to turn more inward, not let all the noise that's been going on around you affect you so much. You just scan your body, see how you're feeling today. I know for me, I've been a little under the weather, and so I think this practice will be a great way for me to just tune in, kind of see what's going on. I notice my knees, I notice my hips, notice my jaw. And there's a phrase that I like to turn to a lot of times, and it is, "This too shall pass." So whether it's something that maybe you're not enjoying as much, or something that's really great that you're really grateful for and you're tuned into, it will pass. So you may as well appreciate and notice all parts of your life. That's what Hatha Yoga is just really tuning in and appreciating every minute of your life. I believe if you find some quiet time in your day, just sitting and turning inward, that it helps you immensely. Please bring hands to heart center. Just bow towards your heart. May we all notice the beauty and the grace that's always around us, within us, and within others. And please lower your hands, open your eyes. And we're going to start really easy just by stretching up tall, stretching your arms up with an inhale And with an exhale, bringing them back down through heart center. And keep going like that. Inhale, stretch them up. Exhale, bring them down through heart center. Inhale, stretch your arms up. And exhale, bring them down through heart center. Good. Now come on up to standing. And if you're sitting on a blanket, you can move it to the side and locate your blocks. And I'm going to have you bring them to the highest height and just bring them shoulder width apart. And then you're going to stand about arm's length away from them. And then just bend over and bring your hands onto the blocks. Now you might have to bend your knees here to start. But I want your spine to be nice and long. And just kind of check in. See if you can feel weight on all parts of your feet. So big toe mounds, little toe mounds, inside of heel, outside of heel. You need to adjust the location of your blocks to feel that because you want your weight to be right in the middle of the feet. And then just press down on the blocks and lengthen. Notice how I'm not rounding my back. I'm just trying to lengthen. Good. Now bend your knees a lot and just fold forward a bit. Inhale, lengthen that spine again. Straighten your legs. And exhale, soften down. Keeping the back of your neck nice and long. You can even let the head fold forward. And we'll do that 4 more times. So inhale. This is called pranam. And exhale, bend the knees. Sit back. 3. 4. Press down through your feet, through your arms. Last time. And then pause with your knees bent, your head bowed, hands on the blocks. And just kind of shift back to your heels. Bend your knees a little bit more. Bring your hands on your knees and slowly come more upright. This is called chair pose. Draw your low belly up and then just press strongly into both feet and come on up to standing. And stretch your arms up again. And hands down through heart center. Go ahead and move your blocks to the side for a moment. I like to have them at the top of my mat, just off so I can grab them when I need them. And come down to all fours position. When I say all fours, your wrists are right under your shoulders, your knees are under the hips. And you want to spread the weight on your hands. So you're not just putting all the weight right on your wrist there. So spread it through the fingers, the finger mounds. I even like to like hug my thumb towards my pointer finger a little bit. And then just start to make a big figure 8, just kind of noticing all your joints. So you're going to notice the hips, the shoulders, the wrists, maybe even the feet. And then to make you think a little more, switch the direction of your figure 8. Good. And then pause. Bring your knees a little wider, your big toes together. And see, now some people's knees don't like this. And so if you bring them wider, that helps. Or you can keep them closer together. And some people don't like to sit all the way back to your heels like I can. My knees will allow me to do it. But then you just stay here with your butt up. No big No problem whatsoever. Good. So settle in wherever feels good for you. And if you want to, you can stretch your arms out long and even bring your forehead to the floor if that works. And then lift your fingers so you feel your shoulder blades lift on the back and broaden your clavicles so you get a good shoulder lift. Lift your elbows, armpits are hollow. Good. And then making your way back to all fours. Curl your toes under and sit back on your heels. Now, you might not be able to go all the way back. There's several things you can do if it's uncomfortable for your knees. One thing that I like to do is I can put a blanket and I snug it right in behind my knees. That adds space behind the knees and it makes that feel better. So when you do this, you're getting not only a knee stretch and a quad stretch, but a nice foot stretch. See how my toes are curled under? And if that feels good, stretch your arms up. If you're forward on your hands, you don't have to do this. Exhale, hands through heart center. One more time. Inhale, stretch it up. Exhale, hands through heart center. Good. Come off your feet and your knee. Hands forward of your shoulders now. Same really connected hands though. Curl your toes. Lift your knees. And come on up to a downward facing dog. Just go slow. Feel it out. And then 5 times, we're just going to bend our knees, add a curve to the low back, and then slowly stretch out. Inhale, bend. Exhale, stretch it out. 3. At any time you feel like, oh, I can't hold that anymore, you just come down. And then make your way back to that all fours position. So you have to move your hands back and just move through some cow cats. So when I say cow, so you start with your tail, you just kind of press the sits bones up, make that curve in your low back, make the curve in your middle back, let your heart come forward, lift your head. That's cow pose. And then go the opposite direction. So start with your tail, your low back up, middle back, upper back. It feels like I'm pushing my knees and my hands away from each other when I'm in cow and towards each other when I'm in cat. I mean, opposite. Pulling towards each other in cow and pushing away when I'm in cat. Always start with your tail and just feel like each vertebrae moving. Good. And then pause. And sit on your feet again. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to stretch my feet long and sit on the heels. But I want all of you to have access. So if that doesn't work for your knees, then just come up to standing on your knees. And then you're just going to do some shoulder rolls. So roll the shoulders, warm them up, switch directions. Bring the arms out to T. Roll just your right hand in. So it feels like from your shoulder all the way down to your arm, you're rolling it in, and then go other way with your left hand. And then maybe stretch a little to the side. And then you're slowly going to switch both hands and stretch to that side. You'll feel it. And do that one more time. Good. And coming back to center, stretch your arms up. If you're on your knees, you can do this too. Hands through heart center. Good. Come back down to all fours so you can swing your feet to one side and come onto your back. And bring your right knee in and interlace your hands behind it. So just where it feels fairly like a good stretch on your hamstring. Now you ask yourself, do I still have a little curve in my low back? So if you don't, if it's so tight that you don't, then just push the knee out a little further so you can feel that natural curve in your low back. And then if you can keep that and extend your left leg, you can do that too. And then you're just going to point your toe, straighten your leg, or whatever your leg allows, your hamstring allows. Then flex the foot and bend. And do that again. Point the toe, straighten, stretch it up, flex the foot, and bend. This is 3. Flex and bend. One more time. Stretch it straight. Flex the foot so the toes come towards you and bend the knee. Okay, now bend your left knee. Let go of your right knee and bring the ankle across the knee for a little hip stretch. And just notice, do your hip points still point up? Are they parallel? You want to keep that. And then see, maybe you want more stretch. You can lift the leg and interlace behind your left thigh. And then see if you can soften your shoulders and your head back down. And breathe. They call this baby cradle. You'll feel it in your right hip. You can even roll side to side. Now, if this is too intense and you feels the best with your foot on the floor, just do it there. You read your own body, right? Good. And then release that leg, unwind. And we'll do that with the other side. So hug your left knee in. Ask yourself, do I still have a little curve, a natural curve? I don't want my rib cage to pop up. I want my hips to stay square. Maybe extend the right leg. And then point the toes. Stretch the leg straight. Flex the foot. And bend. Point. Straighten. Flex. And bend. Point. Straighten. Flex. And bend. Good. And bending the right knee, place the left ankle over the top. Ask yourself, does this feel like enough stretch in that left hip? If you want more, lift the right foot up, interlace behind, and lay back down. Soften your shoulders, soften your jaw. Just focusing on your breath, maybe sway back and forth. Good, and then release, set the foot down, and just roll on up to a seated position. And you might have to move back a little bit so you can stretch your legs out long and still have your heels on the mat. And then just bring your right ankle again across to your left knee and bring your hands behind you. You can step them back because you want to keep your spine nice and long. And maybe this is where you're going to stay. So this is seated baby cradle, or you can bend the bottom knee. I like to keep this foot active. And I ask myself again, things lined up. You want to protect your knee. So your knee is like a hinge. So if you have that active foot, you're just opening your right hip and protecting the knee. And then just kind of roll the knees side to side, being very gentle, waking up that right hip. Good, and then stretch that leg straight, and we'll switch. So hinge the left knee, bring the ankle across, lean back so you get that nice straight spine. You want to keep that, so you might even have to walk your hands back further once you bend that bottom knee. And then keeping your knee protected by flexing your foot, just feeling like the femur bone is just rotating in the socket. So your left femur bone rotating, and then maybe sway side to side a little bit. Okay. And then unwind, stretch your legs out, and try and draw your legs into the socket a little bit. Notice how I'm kind of walking my hips underneath me. And sit up super tall. This is a pose called Dandasana. You just want to take a moment here. And then come on up to down, or all fours again. Hands in front of your shoulders. Curl your toes. And come on up to a downward facing dog. Your hips are feeling a lot more open. If you want to, bend your knees once and re-straighten the legs. You can do that again. Good. And then come forward to a plank pose if you want to. Let's all lower our knees for this one, and then come on down to your belly. And bring your hands wide and a little bit forward of your shoulders and up on fingertips. And then I like to bring my forehead to the floor and think, long side body. I draw the head of the arm bone to the back. I broaden my clavicles. I lengthen the back of my neck. And then I just lift up to this little baby cobra and lower back down. And just do that 2 more times. So lengthen, rib cage is back, lengthen through the top of the head, and lift. And exhale back down. 1 more time. And exhale back down. Good. And then come in so that you're on your elbows. And your elbows are right underneath your shoulders. Your hands are stretched long. And then do that thing again. So think long side body, draw the head of the arm bone back. So the shoulder blades on the back. And then I broaden my clavicles and isometrically pull myself forward a little bit. You'll feel some connection. Don't let your low ribs pop out. Lengthen through the top of your head. This is called Sphinx pose. And you can see why. Good. Now to add a little something to this, make a fist with your right hand and just swivel it in. And then you're going to kind of roll to your right hip so that you keep knee beside knee and find your left foot. Now, if this is too intense, stay here, or you can roll to your belly again, square up the shoulders, keep the shoulders really strong so it's not too intense of a stretch there. It's just a little quad stretch. And breathe. Notice how I keep my left shoulder back. I don't let it come here because I could damage it. So I kind of think long side body, head of the arm on back, broaden the clavicle. And then you can stretch your foot in. Good. Release that side. Pause to find Sphinx again. And then making a fist with the left forearm. Roll that in. Roll to your left hip. Find the foot. Either stay here to stretch, or you can roll back, squaring your shoulders and your hips, getting that quad stretch. And breathe. Ooh, this one's really tight on me today. Good, release. And lay down with your forehead to the floor again. Arms by your hips. Feet at least hip distance. Toes pointing down. Long side body. Head of the arm bones back. Rib cage back. Lengthen the back of your neck as you lift your head and shoulders and arms, and maybe add the legs. Lengthen, 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 and release down. Hands by your chest. Curl your toes under and push all the way back, downward facing dog. And then come down to your knees. Find your blocks again. So your hands are on the blocks, and then just step your right foot up between the blocks. You might have to move your left knee back a little bit. So you're going to feel a stretch. Keep the right hip crease drawing back. Feel weight on all parts of your front foot. I always like to hug my knee towards my heel and my heel towards my knee. Then I feel more stable. You can bring your hands on your front thigh just to feel that stretch. Couple breaths. Good. Bring your left hand down to the block. So your right foot's forward, your left hand's on the block, and then sweep the right hand up and open up to a little twist. And then I'm going to give you an option here. You can just bring your hand to the thigh and engage that twist. Or if you're feeling really open, you can bend your left knee, find the foot, and add a quad stretch to that too. Being careful with your right shoulder to keep it on the back. If that's still not enough stretch, you can lower to your left elbow. It's a deep stretch. Good. And then release the foot. Lift the back knee to that deep lunge position. Still the right hip crease is moving back. Good. And then step back to a downward facing dog on the blocks. Just gives you a little lift. And then lower your knees, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. So left foot forward, Hands on the blocks. Hug the knee towards the heel, heel towards the knee. Left hip crease stays back. Hands to the front thigh. Maybe stretch your right arm up if you're feeling really safe and strong. And then bringing the right hand to the block. Sweep the left arm up and open for a little twist. And then if you want to stay there, you just support yourself with your hand. Or if you want more stretch, bend the right knee. So left hand to right foot, quad stretch. And breathing, left shoulder on the back. And release that foot. Lift the back knee. See if your toes are pointing straight ahead on that foot. Just feel the back leg engage. Good, and then step back to that downward facing dog. And then just very carefully walk your hands with the blocks back to your feet to a forward fold. If you don't need the blocks, you don't have to have them. Sometimes it's nice to have those arm extenders. And then bending your knees, bringing your hands on your knees. Come on up to standing. Finally got warmed up. It's a snow day today, and I have the fire on and down here by the fire. It feels really nice, but finally got warmed up. So now I'm going to have you set your blocks back at the front of your mat and come by a wall so that you can support yourself with one hand on the wall, or if you have a table or a couch, that works too. So you're just going to grab a hold. You don't have to if you know that your balance is good. You're going to stand on your left foot and bring your right ankle over top for standing baby cradle. We did laying down, we did seated, now we're going to do standing. So remember, your knee's a hinge, your foot is active, you're sitting your hips back. You can play with not having to hang on if you want to. Sitting a little deeper. And then just come on out. Switch so that you can grab that wall if you have to. I always start with a little bend in both knees, slide that left ankle on, and then find your way. So it's like a chair pose. Standing up, baby cradle. One more breath. And release. Good. Now come to the front of your mat. Have your blocks by your side. And we're just going to do a little sun salute. So inhale, stretch your arms up. Exhale, bend your elbows, lift your heart a little bit. Inhale, stretch them back up. And exhale, fold forward, hands to the blocks. Step your left foot back to the deep lunge. Ground that back foot down. And then walk your blocks to the left and turn your right foot forward. And just see if here in this wide, you might have to keep a little baby bend in your knees, which is fine. So remember how we did this. You can keep the blocks on the higher height if you want to, or on the lower. I just want you to feel like your weight is on all parts of your feet, and then bend the knees a little bit and pranam, extend out, and then straighten and fold. Bend, lengthen out, straighten, and fold. One more time. Bend. Make sure your kneecaps and your toes point the same direction. Pranam, extend out, straighten your legs, and fold. Good. Now, walk your hands to the left and turn your left foot out. So your right foot's still pointed forward, your left foot is pointed out, and bend on it into that front knee. Just see how that feels. Keep weight in all parts of your, both feet actually. Good. Straighten that leg as you come back through middle, turn the foot in, and go the opposite direction. So you're kind of at an angle. Your kneecap and your toe point the same direction, both feet actually. We call this down dog lunge. You should feel a stretch on the inner thigh. And then walk back to the middle. And fold forward. You can use the blocks if that's a help for you, or you can even fold deeper. Just getting those inner thighs opened up. We've opened up the hamstrings, the outer thighs. Now we're working on the inner thighs. Good, and then come on back up. Bend your knees a little bit to get the weight in the middle of your feet as you stand up. Good, now bring your arms out and turn just your left foot forward and bend into the front knee. Warrior 2. Just bring your fingertips to the outside of your knee and press your knee into your fingertips. You'll feel your left glutes engage more. Good. Straighten the leg back up. Shift the feet. So that foot straight forward, right foot out, bend into warrior 2. If you liked that engaging of the glutes, press the knee into the hand into the knee. Warrior 2. Straighten the leg, straighten the feet out, fold forward again. Now you're going to walk your blocks back towards your right foot. Turn the left foot up. And step forward. Uttanasana. And just turn your toes out and come down to a deep squat. Now, if this doesn't work for your knees, just come down to a chair, wherever it feels good. Remember, the key is always have the toes and the kneecap pointing the same direction. Have your feet very active. Good, and then come down to seated. And bring the soles of your feet together. Now for me, this is a really hard stretch for me. My hips just aren't that open, even though I've been practicing yoga for all these years. So I like to bring my hands underneath my ankles, press the heels and the balls of the feet together, but think to myself, I need to get on the sits bones and then use my core strength. So I'm attempting to get my spine nice and long and use my low belly by drawing it up, and then think, oh, wow, there's a little bit more play because I have the strength in my core that I can open my knees a little bit further. Plus, with this, I can use my forearms to kind of help me along. Now, if this feels good, you just stay here. You can even bring the hands behind you, lengthen up, or if you want, you can fold forward. And then slowly come on up. Then bring your knees together. And now stretch your feet wide. Upavista Konasana. And just bring your hands behind you to start. So I want you to think, okay, my kneecap and my toes point up. So I might have to inner rotate my legs. And then I feel that my feet are active. I can keep a little baby bend in the knees if my hamstrings are too tight. And then I just push down with my hands and lengthen up through my core, through the top of my head. And then maybe bring the arms out to the side. Think lengthen tall. You're going to feel it in your glutes. Your low belly's drawing up. Your rib cage is back. Lengthen up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very good. Bring your hands to the center now. Do you still have that length? And then you just bend right at the hip creases and maybe fold forward. Upavista Konasana. I have super open hamstrings, so if you're not getting as low as I am, that's okay. You noticed how I had trouble opening my hips? This is I have nice long hamstrings, so I can open this way more. Good, and then come on back up. And now bend both knees. Flex your feet. So my toes are lifted. I'm going to bring my right hand off to the side and reach across with my left hand to the foot or to the shin. And then think I'm going to draw my sternum back and then press on the gas with my foot just to stretch out my shoulder. And I have a nice long side body on that side, so I feel a stretch all the way down the right side of my back, your left side. Oh, good. And then switch. And breathe. Sternum draws back. Good. And then release. Now, reach under your right leg. Bring your left foot across. And then, so it's kind of by your hip, your heel's by your hip. And then either bring the right foot straight back or to the outside. Just for another little hip stretch. Interlace your hands around your shin. Make sure both hips are grounded. Pull back and up to lengthen your spine. And then if you want to, you can grab that knee and twist so that you twist towards the lifted knee. Oh, there's that tightness. You don't have to twist so deep, but you do have to stay really tall. If your foot's here, just make sure you're grounding it down and then twisting. Okay. Good, and unwind. Bring your feet back to that wide position so you can pull that leg under. The knee should kind of be centered in your belly. And then you either pull that foot straight back or to the outside. And then ask yourself, does it feel like I'm grounded through both sits bones? And then you pull back and up and maybe hold on with your elbow and twist. Couple breaths. Oh boy, did I need this today. Good, and unwind. And go ahead and lie down on your back and stretch your legs long, stretch your arms long, just full body twist or full body stretch. Stretch and lengthen. Flex and fold if you want. Good. And then bend your knees and bring them wide on the mat. Slide your arms down to cactus or T. And then just let both knees go to the right. So you're making like a triangle. Your feet nice and wide. Just lengthen out. And then bring them up and over to the left. It's called windshield wipers. I'm sure you can see why. And up and over again to the right. And again to the left. Now bringing both knees up, lift the knees, flex your feet, hug your knees and your feet together, and then just kind of roll the knees to the right, keeping both shoulder blades grounded just to where it feels like you can control it, and then come back to center and go to the left. Really strong in your core. And one more time to the right and to the left. And coming back to center, bring your feet down, bring your hands down, let the feet come together, your knees open wide for that Supta Baddha Konasana, which is laying down cobbler's pose. We did it seated, now we're doing it laying down. Notice I have a little curve in my low back, that natural curve. And let everything kind of like your breath sends a message to your body to relax a little bit and release. And then bringing the knees up, bring the feet wide again and just let the knees fall together. Stretch your arms up over your head one more time. And then stretching the legs long, stretching the arms by your side, palms up, come into Shavasana position. So Shavasana is a really great opportunity to let go of anything that's not serving you. Whether it's tension and muscle energy, or whether it's nagging thoughts. Just let them go with an exhalation. And soften your jaw. Open the legs and feet. Shoulders and arms and hands. Belly and back. you have time, I encourage you to stay in this position for at least 10 minutes. They say that if you do Shavasana for a good 10 minutes, that it's almost like having a 2-hour nap. So do that as often as you can. It's really good for you. Everyone just stay there. I wanted to close with a reading from Marianne Williamson. My body is merely a suit of clothes, a temporary container for my eternal spirit. As I identify more with my spirit, realizing that my essence is ageless, my thoughts about age will change. Accordingly, so will my body. I am not burdened today by false beliefs about the vulnerability of my body to age or disease. I see the white light of spirit that races through every cell of my being, filling my body as well as my mind with the revitalizing power of love. That from Marianne Williamson's book entitled A Year of Miracles. It is my honor and privilege to be able to teach this beautiful practice of yoga to all of you. Thank you so much for taking your time with me today. Namaste.